Good evening, folks. Thanks for joining us for the March 12th, 2024 Select Board meeting. I call the meeting to order. We have a large group this evening. If there are seats here, I'm not sure there are any left, and maybe there actually are a couple over here. If not, you can also go into the next room over. Everything is being simulcast into that room also. So I want to go through our agenda briefly for this evening. We're going to start out, actually, after we go through the list here, we're going to go into a quick executive session, which unfortunately means everyone's going to have to get up and leave this room while we have that executive session. The purpose of that is, it's called Purpose 2, conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, selected town manager candidate, Matt Cornelis. We'll do that. Then we will be coming right back into session, invite everybody back into the room. At about 7:15, our plan is to vote to execute the employment agreement with Matt Cornelis for the position of town manager. At that point, we will have public comment, and I would ask that if you'd like to speak, please make sure you've signed the sheet. It's now just outside the door.
Yeah, I have it here, but
Oh, it's here now, sorry. Okay, so there's the sheet there.
Yep.
Great. After public comment, we will have a board discussion and vote to reorganize. At about 7:30 approximately, depends on how many people want to speak. We'll do select board liaison and town manager reports. Turn the page. Discuss and vote on a modification to the CPA study committee membership to include a member of the Conservation Commission. This is 8:05, but the next agenda item will be to vote to appoint a select board member to the CPA study committee. We then are going to review and vote on a Class 2 license application, a license to sell secondhand motor vehicles for Beat the Trade LLC. We'll then discuss a potential investigation into board conduct. We'll discuss future agendas. We'll approve meeting minutes. And then somewhere around 9:20 estimated here, we're going to go into executive session again for two items, both under Purpose 3. One of them related to Acosta versus the Town of Reading, which is an appellate tax board activity. And then a second part of the executive session, again under Purpose 3, to discuss litigation strategy with respect to 179 Pearl Street. And we will not be returning from executive session into open session at that time. So with that, can I have a motion to move to executive session?
Move to enter an executive session pursuant to GLC 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation for contract negotiations or to conduct contract negotiations with Matthew Cornelis, the selected candidate for appointment to the position of town manager, to invite Ivrea Glass-Fried and the executive assistant Caitlin Nocella into the executive session, and then to return to open session.
Thank you. Is there a second?
second.
Thanks, Chris. Any discussion? Hearing. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Karen?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Carlo?
Yes.
Mark, yes. So we're going to go to executive session, folks. We're going to ask you to step outside of the room while we do that. open session. So if you could please take a seat here if there's room. If there's not, the next room over has plenty of seating as well. We are back in session. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is to vote to execute an employment agreement with Matthew Cornelis for the position of town manager. So the first thing that happens here is the board, so I guess we'll start with a motion.
Move to execute the employment agreement with Matthew Cornelis for the position of town manager as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chris. Any discussion, board members?
Thank you, Mark. I'm happy to see everybody came here for Matt. I'm sure he's thrilled for this to be a packed house for his first act as official town manager. I know it was a difficult or easy ride to get currently where we're at. And I have full confidence, Matt, that you're going to do the best of your ability here for Reading. I appreciate you sticking things out, and like I said, hopefully you retire here. It's not an early retirement, so thank you.
Yeah, I echo Chris's comments. Thank you, Matt, for applying. Thank you for being here this past month. And look forward to working with you for the short term and then hopefully for the long term thereafter. So we look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just echo my colleagues' comments. Welcome.
Yeah, just to echo everything, it's good to, I think, be at this point, I'm assuming that this vote's gonna go well in just a second. I think it will. But it's good to kind of get this established, get it going, and take care of the priorities of the community. So really happy to have that happen.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman.
So with that, we're ready to take a vote. Okay, so all those in favor of executing an employment agreement with Matthew Cornelis for the position of town manager? Opposed? We are 4-0. Congratulations, Matt. This is the approved agreement. Okay. The latest and greatest version.
Excellent.
You don't mind signing it, and we'll all sign it?
I will do that. Thank you very much.
Excuse me? The screen in the other room isn't working. Can somebody help with that?
Sure. Kevin, hopefully Kevin will, Tim will be able to turn that on. We had to turn it off in the executive session, sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, if the screen wasn't working in the other room, can someone just make an announcement as to what happened and the vote that occurred?
Sure. So just make sure the screen is on
Just so that
first.
the other room now can hear everything.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can someone let me know if the other room is working, please? It's on. It's on, great.
Got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, so for folks who didn't hear us, we went on to the next item, which was to vote to execute an employment agreement with Matthew Cornelis for the position of town manager. The board made some very positive comments, took a vote of 4-0, and we are now, Matt has signed the contract and is going around the boardroom for the four of us to sign it. And that's where we are on Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you. And I thank you to the board, to all of the residents, to the employees, to my family. It's been a big moment for me. It was a little bit of a process, but I'm used to that. And I look forward, I think I've helped to build a strong foundation here in Reading for the last 9 years. And I hope to build also a bright future. And I think Reading does have a bright future. And I'm ecstatic to be part of it. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the next agenda item, which is public comment. I have a list in front of me. I just want to make sure, so if you would like to speak, please make sure you have signed this, or if not, maybe we can have a second sheet that can go there. I don't know if everyone here wants to speak. I will go through the list and we'll see what we have in terms of who would like to speak. I did, Mr. McFadden asked if he could speak first because of another commitment this evening. Said that would be okay. please come up front. Mr. McFadden.
Recommendation, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
At school committee, they usually ask for people to comment, hold comments for things that are on the agenda until that time of the agenda. I just want to know, is this public comment, all the public comment for the entire meeting? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. So, two things, if I can bring it up. One, this is the public comment session of the meeting. If you do have something to say to the board, this would be the opportunity to do it. What we do ask is that you restrict your comments to 2 minutes in time, and I'll put a timer on just so that we can keep consistent with that. And then that will allow for all the people that want to speak to have a chance to speak. Mr. McFadden, please.
Good evening, Carl McFadden, 33 Wakefield Street, and your representative on the Burbank Ice Arena. Matt, this is as exciting as your job, but the Ice Arena would like to give to the town $113,966 for their pollution. I'm done. There you go. Here's the money.
Make sure it gets to the accountant then. All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks. So let me go through the list and you'll let me know if you'd like to speak. If you would like to speak, we'll ask you to come up to the podium to do it. So I have Marcel Dubois first.
Marcel Dubois, 16 Willow Street, Reading. I actually thought that was the sign-in sheet for the meeting, but I'd like to speak. No, I'm gonna speak. So my comments have to do with the upcoming vote that you're gonna have for the chair position for the next year or so. What I'm asking for is fairness. The last couple elections, it seems like both Chris and Carla were overlooked. And I think it's unfair. I think it's an important vote. I think it shows the term that's used a lot on the select board is unity. It's all about fairness, and I think all I'm asking for is that you consider that. They both earned the right to be chairman of this committee. I think either Carla or Chris will do an awesome job of moving forward. And I think it's a time for us to look behind and look ahead, and say all the stuff that's been happening. Let's just prove to the town that we're united. And also, I just wanted to mention that no notes in front of me, considering following Chris's move at I thought that was a cool move. So please, I'm just asking for fairness, and I think it's fair to consider both Chris and Carla for the position. Thank you.
Thank you. It's going to take us a really long time if we have everybody clapping after each speaker. Please, let's let people speak and we'll keep going. Dennis Durandi?
I have no comment.
Okay. Ray Boyd?
No comment. I signed the wrong sheet.
No, sorry. We only have one sheet.
Let it go on the record that I'm here.
You're here. Pat?
We're just here.
Okay, very good. Dave Panett?
Present.
Very good. Jeffrey Quorum?
Jeffrey Corum, 31 Ridge Road, a member of town meeting and also of FinCom, although I'm speaking for myself. My comment is regarding the potential investigation, but that's on the agenda. My question is, that seems, I don't understand the need for it. We had two parties know what happened. One of them is here and expressed that there's nothing there. The other has declined to make comment. So unless that other party comes and makes a comment, anything else would be hearsay or speculation. And I don't see what outside investigators would get other than more division in town. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Linda Aiello?
No comment.
Thank you. Lois Bell?
Thought it was the attendance sheet.
Thank you for signing in. Tara Gregory?
I'm not ready to speak right now.
Okay. Amanda Haley?
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity. Matt, congratulations. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Um,
Just tell us your name, please, and address.
Oh, sorry. Amanda Haley, 71 Tennyson. Sorry, I get a little nervous when I come up here in front of everybody. So I'm not coming as what most of you think that I'm up here for. I'm coming up here to thank the town, to thank the folks who volunteered their time during the elections. It was a very busy one, specifically thanking Laura, the rest of the town staff. They deserve everything and more, and every compliment that they've had. I've heard Emily Sisson was there from 7 a.m. until about 9 or 10 p.m. and then back the next morning for a few more hours of work. So I think all the volunteers deserve all of the credit in the world for everything that they did, especially with the combined election. The first time that Chris was elected to his position, it was COVID, so we weren't able to get the chance to come in as a family when new elected officials get to come in. So I decided to come and I wanted to thank the voters. 3,715 voters in this town voted for transparency. 3,715 voters in this town voted for fairness. My husband has exemplified all of those, and I want to say thank you to the voters for giving my husband and the town a chance to go forward. The town needs this, the town needs my husband, and I appreciate all of the support from everybody over the last 3 years and additionally the last few months. Thank you.
Please. Carolyn Johnson.
Here, same.
Okay. Brooke Chipman.
I'm here, but I'm gonna pass. Thank you.
Laurie Hayes.
Present.
Nancy Doctor.
I'm talking. Nancy Doctor, 371 Pearl Street, Precinct 1, meeting member. A good friend of mine and her husband volunteered as poll workers. And I was actually really concerned to hear their feedback about the behavior of residents, openly questioning the integrity of our election, the ethics of our poll workers.
We can't hear you at all. Can you just?
I'll speak louder then. Thank you. Now, I'm not blaming this board for their behavior, but what I am telling you is being civil and being respectful to volunteers matters. I think there was a survey that was just released from the National Council of Cities that 80% of government employees and volunteers in the past year have been harassed and abused. You are elected officials. You are role models. I'm here because the behavior of some of this board in the last 2 select board meetings, to me, is not role modeling for our town. And my concern is the chair presented a code of conduct in the last board meeting that should have been unanimously supported, and it wasn't. I would like to see this board do so tonight. And I would like to know from our town manager, how is that going to be enforced when there are violations of that code? Because the reality is, you know, we all look to you to do the town business. And some of the concerns I have when there are vanity projects that go on among board members is it takes away from the valuable time we need to do the town business. So I'm going to hopefully ask that the code of conduct that you presented, Mr. Chair, last meeting is presented and it is voted on and there is some mechanism to enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you. Alice Collins.
Alice Collins, 23 Mineral Street. I've lived in Reading a long time. I've observed town government for many years, and I've marveled at the dedicated volunteers who keep this town running smoothly. I've had the pleasure of observing Karen Herrick's keen financial oversight when she served on the library's building committee. I also observed Mark Doxer for many years as a dedicated volunteer on the finance committee and after that on this board. I'm not clear on what the investigation on your agenda tonight actually refers to. I'm hoping it's not directed at Mr. Doxer. He is the last person I would ever think to accuse of not acting in a fair, responsible, and kind way. In my experience, he is consistently respectful, a skilled problem solver, open to compromise, with a very strong history of commitment to this town. I haven't observed Mr. Bacci and Mr. Haley until recent years, but I know they too have devoted many hours to serve on this board. I urge you not to waste time on unwarranted, unfounded allegations. It will further divide a town much in need of healing and united, productive leadership. Thank you.
John Lippett.
Present.
Very good. Alan Bollier.
Thank you, members of the select board. Thank you, town manager. Alan Bollier, 153 Belmont Street. I'm here because I have an opinion about the vice chair and chair positions on the select board. I'm going to give you some information that I have as backup to my information. Carlo Bacci was elected to the select board in 2020 and also re-elected in 2023. Chris Haley was elected to the select board in 2021 and re-elected to 2024. My information indicates the year 2020 to 2021, the chair was Mark Doxer and the vice chair was Ann Landry. 2021 to 2022, the chair was Karen Gately Herrick and the vice chair was Ann Landry. 2022 to 2023, the chair was Mark Doxer and the vice chair was Karen Gately Herrick. 2023 to 2024, chair was Jackie McCarthy and Mark Doxer. My opinion is this looks absolutely silly that two people on the select board that have been on the board for the last 3 to 4 years have never been considered for chair or vice chair. I think it just looks it doesn't look good for the select board and it makes it look silly. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Rita, I'm sorry, Reska?
I'm here, I'll pass.
Okay. Mike Szymanski.
Present.
Vanessa Curry.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Curry. I'm at 74 Haverhill Street. I just want to briefly reiterate some of the previous comments made that I think it's time to alternate the chair, or excuse me, to pass the chair along as opposed to alternating and give either Chris or Carlo a chance to have it.
Thank you. Votes, please. Next on the list, Diana Halsey.
Yeah.
Lisa Racci.
Present.
Margaret Connor.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, Dan, middle initial maybe J.
Rochi, here.
Racci. Thank you. Liz Oman.
Present.
Chris.
I'm here too.
Linda Snow Doxer.
Just quickly, even before the timing, a disclaimer. Thanks for this opportunity. I need to state that, as always, I've not shared what I'm about to say with my husband, who is acting select board chair. I'm both a separate individual and a past elected official of this town. We think and work separately. I'm Linda Snow Doxer, Beaver Road. My first couple of versions of this statement actually came from anger and frustration at those who have attacked me, my husband, and other Reading volunteers, but I reconsidered. Enough is enough. The political strategy of terrorizing volunteers have to stop. To do that, we all need to reach for a higher bar. We need to listen to one another, support one another, be role models for each other, both those in elected positions and the rest of us who communicate our needs and wants. We need to treat each other with respect. We need to support those volunteers who do the vital work in our community. And if we don't agree, we need to have civil conversations in person. No more conspiracy theories, threats, insinuations, and no more hiding behind social media posts. No more derogatory or incendiary remarks. We need to work together and find common ground, even when it is difficult. Our world is divisive and difficult enough right now. We need to work together to fix it. Change starts locally. We live in a wonderful community where people help each other and that historically has been able to rely on our volunteers to use our talents, energy, money, and time to do amazing work that benefits everyone. It's not too late to say to our volunteers that we value you and you are safe to step forward to contribute to our town. Please join me in pledging to reach for a higher bar. I know it will make a difference. Thank you.
Sorry, 406 Haverhill Street. Apologies.
Yeah, no problem.
Carl spoke. Steve Herrick.
Present.
Jesse Arnold. Sorry.
Jesse Arnold, 72 Berkeley Street, speaking today as myself, not for any board or committee I sit on, or as a town meeting member. Last week, I was reminded of one of the reasons why I believe in volunteerism and giving back to Reading. I was on the ballot to be re-elected for town meeting, and a friend relayed that one of her daughters asked if she was voting for me because I was a girl. My friend responded no, and her older daughter chimed in that her mom was voting for me, quote, because she is kind and makes good decisions and helps the town a lot, end quote. This comment touched me greatly to hear the sentiment from a girl who is friends with my daughter and who has been in my Girl Scout troop since kindergarten. It was one of those moments that made me pause and reflect on what leadership means and how our behavior can teach and influence others. As select board members, you are all leaders in Reading. You set the tone for the town, and residents of all ages watch how you interact. Over the years, I've seen behavior displayed at select board meetings which has left me disappointed, but in the last few months, this concerning behavior seems to have escalated following the resignation of Jackie McCarthy. I can't speak as to why Jackie resigned, and truly she's the only one who can offer that explanation. It is time for the public speculation and conjecture to stop and leave any investigation of this matter in the hands of those best equipped to do so. To that end, the Select Board does not have jurisdiction to investigate any criminal or state ethics violation. Their power to investigate would only likely be to investigate their own conduct, as specified in the Reading Select Board Ethics and Protocols adopted in August of 2021. I'm not exactly sure how a board with such rancor can fairly investigate itself, but in the interest of transparency and equity, any investigation should be directed at all board conduct regarding this situation, both prior to and in the weeks following Jackie's resignation. I hope that should the board decide to conduct an investigation, it can be done in a civil and thoughtful manner. Please remember that you are setting the tone for the town. In speaking to or about each other, the use of divisive and inflammatory rhetoric influences how town leadership is valued or not, and how each of you individually will be treated by others in town. At the end of the day, we are a small town. We run into each other at Winterfest, local sporting events, and local drama productions. Let's get back to remembering that we are all neighbors first and foremost.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak that did not sign the list before? Please.
I would like to address two.
Sorry, can you just introduce
Oh,
yourself first?
excuse me.
Sorry.
Sorry, I thought everybody knew me.
Excuse me. We do.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you. Eileen Materio on Deborah Drive. Okay. I, along with many constituents, am here to express my grave concern over the loss of former Chair Jackie McCarthy. One of the most competent, caring, fair, and highly respected members of the board. Something troublesome occurred that caused her to resign so unexpectedly on February 6th. I concur with all those present, and perhaps not present, who are demanding an investigation into the words and/or actions of any board members who may have intimidated, pressured, or even threatened her in any way. They must be held accountable. This must not be buried under the rug. I also want to thank Chris Haley for his integrity and honesty in bringing this issue to light. The second subject is pertains to the reorganization of the board. So as a town meeting member now for over 10 years, I've followed board meetings and observed the gavel for the chair being passed to members on a rotating basis. However, since 2020, there has been an unfair practice of not following the board's own rules for an annual rotation of the chair. Mr. Doxer and Karen Herrick, I feel, have monopolized these positions of chair and vice chair, back and forth, except when Jackie McCarthy was chair and one of the best. The board must follow their own annual rotation rules. Chris Haley and Carlo Bacci are experienced and seasoned board members. Was that for me?
It is, but why don't you take a few seconds to finish, please?
Okay, I'll just finish up, it's just one sentence. I would say that Chris Haley and Carlo Bacci must have their turn as your own select board annual reorganization policy requires. Thank you.
Yes, please, sir.
Good evening, Kevin Lucy, 745 Pearl Street, congratulations. You know, I agree with Linda Doxer Snow. You know, we need to reach a higher bar, and we do need to make sure that our volunteers are safe. A select board chair stepped down, and we, the townspeople, deserve to know why. If wrongdoing occurred, we need to know that, we deserve to know that. You know, you guys serve us, you're our elected officials. You know, tonight I believe that a new select board chair should be chosen. I think that it needs to be rotated to someone other than Karen and Mark. I think things do have to be more inclusive. I think things need to be more transparent. I think for many years, things haven't been good. You know, I think we, the townspeople, we deserve better from our elected officials. You know, time and time again, it seems like things are happening that aren't above board, and we deserve better. You know, we do deserve better. Thank you.
We have public comment as a privilege, please. Anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone online? I do see one hand online.
Yes, Mark, we have Eleanor who would like to speak.
Okay, Eleanor, please do.
Hi, my name is Eleanor Actipas, 73 Longfellow Road. I'm a fairly new resident in Reading, and I'm very happy to be here. I have two quick comments. First, I strongly endorse an investigation into the recent allegations. The best disinfectant is sunlight, and I think a nonpartisan investigation is definitely warranted so that residents feel comfortable about what's going on. I didn't really appreciate the finger wagging from those who want to shut down conversation and inquiry. That just rubs me the wrong way, especially given the current climate where free speech is under attack, and dissent and vigorous debate are often mischaracterized as hate speech or harassment to shut down the rough and tumble of democracy. I'd also like a fair selection of board officers, and I think it's time for Chris Haley or Carlo Bacci to have a turn. Having a fair rotation of officers would be another mark of inclusivity and transparency that would help me feel comfortable in my new town select board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other hands, Caitlin?
No one else raising their hand.
Great, okay, thanks, so that will end the public comment section.
Room.
Yes, thank you, yeah. How do we do that? Are there folks in the other room that would like to speak? I guess the best way would be to kind of walk over in this direction for a moment. Nothing? Okay, thanks, good. All right, let's go on. Okay, the next agenda item is board discussion and vote to reorganize. I have a couple of quick comments to make that I think will be helpful to the discussion. So we are in uncharted territories here, having only 4 board members. If we as a group can agree with 3 or 4 votes for a new chair, the process moves ahead with the chair taking over. And they would be, I think, the chair till the next election on May 14th, conceivably. If we can't agree and are deadlocked at 2-2, If there are no existing board officers, then I think the community loses with a rudderless boat. I don't want to be in that situation. We have 3 meetings after tonight before we have 5 members on the board. At that time, it should allow for a candidate to obtain at least 3 votes and ideally even 5 votes, which is what I believe that we've accomplished the last several times, in fact, even before the year 2020. I ask that we see if we can find a candidate or perhaps a pairing of chair and vice chair that can get 3 or 4 votes. And if so, no issues. They take over as officers. But I'm not comfortable with the possibility of a rudderless boat. And as such, I will not relinquish my role as vice chair until a new chair is elected by the board. So at this point, we can go forward and we can have a discussion. Excuse me, sir, there's no public comment. We're finished with public comment. That's why we had it before. Where we are now is the opportunity for members, I guess, to make a nomination for new officers to the board, for a new chair or a new chair and vice chair. Are there any folks that want to make nominations? Chris?
Thanks, Mark. I'd nominate Carla Bocci for chair, and in doing so, I would be confident having Karen Herrick as vice chair.
Okay, good. I think we need a second on that.
Second both of those.
Second. Any other nominations to be made? I will make a nomination of Karen Herrick as chair and Carla Bocci.
It's not right.
If the room is not able to be quiet, sir, you are not recognized by the chair. You will be forced to leave. Folks, the way this is going to work is as follows. If you want to stay in the room, you will not be disrupting the meeting. If you can't do that, you'll be asked to leave. Sir,
We've had enough of you.
Enough of you.
public comment is a privilege that we gave before. It is not okay to disrupt a meeting. That's what's happening right now. That will not happen. If you choose to disrupt the meeting, I will have the room cleared.
We had no idea what you were gonna say.
I will-
Clear the room.
Excuse me.
Throw the townspeople out.
Throw the people, the taxpayers out.
Here's where we are, folks. We can proceed that way if you choose, or you can stay in the room to listen.
No. How about you guys start doing the right thing?
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. I am gonna ask that we contact the Reading Police Department.
Please stop looking at me, turn around.
Okay, the board is back in session. Folks, we have an agenda that we want to go through tonight. We have a process that we want to go through tonight. It would be great to have everyone able to join us in that process. We as a board are going to have to make some decisions. We are the 4 people that are going to be making, that vote on it. That's the way this is set up. Yes, you have elected us to be your representatives, and that's exactly our job. You need to let us do that. So, we'd love to have you all here to observe, and that's fine. But that has to be what the role is. And so we'll take it forward from here. We'll move ahead with the agenda. That needs to be how it works here. Right? And it's not a function of who's in the room, who's not. It's a function of the 4 of us in the room. We really appreciate your working with us to allow us to do that and to take things forward and to continue to do the work for the town. All right? So where I think we left is we had 2 nominations so far. Kyle,
I'd like to nominate Chris Haley as chair.
great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have we have 2 nominations of pairs. So we have Carlo chair with Karen as vice chair. We have Karen as chair with Carlo as vice chair. We have Chris as chair.
Did we get the second one seconded? Got a little noisy.
We didn't. I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either. So could we have a
Okay,
I
so
second the first
for
one.
Karen as chair and Carlo as vice chair, do we have a second for that?
second?
We have a second for that. So we have 3 nominations in place.
Did someone second mine?
Kristen,
My nomination?
Sorry,
no, sorry, Karen did.
Point of information, actually, usually we handle this over to the town manager, if that makes it easier.
No, because I'm still set up as the vice chair at the moment.
I know.
So it doesn't, so in terms of voting, we can do that, yes. I could definitely do that. Okay, any other nominations at this point?
So we seconded the first one, I seconded the first one, so who was gonna second the second nomination pair?
So the second nomination was, sorry,
Your nomination.
Carlo and, so I nominated you and
Carlo,
as-
I thought.
and Carlo as vice chair.
Why?
I didn't hear that part, but that's what you want?
Yes, that-
I just
It
thought you
got
said.
noisy.
Okay,
That's what I said.
okay, that's
Karen
fine.
as chair and Carlo as vice chair as a
Okay.
pair.
And that got seconded by,
No, I.
So
I
that's
think
not
it got
seconded
noisy.
yet.
okay,
So will someone second that one?
Second.
Second. Okay, so we have 3.
so we're good?
We're good.
We're good.
Any other nominations that we'll go through? Okay, so the 3.
Should resign in disgrace.
The 3 that we have at the moment are, we have Carlo as chair, Karen as vice chair, we have Karen as chair, Carlo as vice chair, we have Chris as chair. Those are the 3 nominations that are in place. All right? We can just take them in that order if we want. All right, so the first one is Carlo as chair, Karen as vice chair. Right. Okay, so all those in favor of Carlo as chair, Karen as vice chair, raise your hand.
Point of information,
yep.
sorry. Are we gonna reorganize again after this special election that we called?
So nominally, we would change after an election. And I guess I have been thinking that that is the case, that after the next election, we would have 5 members, we'd have a full board put together. And that would be, as we normally do, we would reorganize at that point or take a vote to reorganize. And as I mentioned, I think up front, the opportunity there is that with 5 members, the likelihood of someone getting at least 3 votes is much higher. Pretty straightforward. That is 3 meetings away, literally. We have 3 meetings before the election, before May 14th. So I believe that this, what we would be doing here, and I guess we could decide for ourselves, but I thought we would be doing here is having officers from now through May 14th. Chris?
Thanks, Mark. Just for point of information, whatever we want to use for language, I don't think it should be about getting 3 votes with having a 5th member or anything, because Jackie was elected 5-0. You were elected 5-0. That means the 4 of us work together to 5-0 Jackie and 5-0 you. And we are here today to work together to 4-0, 3-1, 2-2, 1-3, whatever scenario transpires. But I think everyone has to be reminded here of how the last two times have gone, and it's been unanimous. And you mentioned last time during the vast discussion, where same thing, you wanted to see both sides represented equally, et cetera, and I said the same thing during Jackie's vote back then as well. And that is why I went with, Carlo and Karen to take care of the vast duties. I just think that we cannot keep going down the same pathway. We just can't. And I've tried, no matter what anybody is going to say for what I'm about to say, I've tried for the last 2 years to do what the school committee has done for the last 3. Fair and balanced, right out of the gate every single time. We should be modeling them. I understand that there's past history there with me and them and all that scenario. They've been doing it right for the last 3 years. They have. And it's our turn to actually do the right thing as well. And we have the chance tonight. So I don't want to see the 3-1 vote. I want to see the 4-0 for some pair, somebody tonight. That's the only way that we're going to move forward. Everyone just spoke about role models and respect and everything else. Then why aren't we doing it? It's, I don't know. I don't know how the voting is about to go. I would like it to be 4-0, just like last time. I said the same thing with Jackie. I wanted to be vice chair with Jackie. It didn't happen. It is what it is. I wanted to be the vice chair with you, Mark. It didn't happen. It is what it is. And now I'm not doing anything. It is what it is, but we have to do right by the town. We just have to. And if it's 3 meetings, like you just said, then it's 3 meetings.
So I think that it's laudable what you're saying. And the problem is that with the wreaking of havoc over the last few meetings, it's like dropping a hand grenade in the room, letting it explode and then saying, okay, let's all be friends. Sorry, it doesn't work that way.
That's your fault.
Folks, again, please. I'd like to have you participating, but that means doing it quietly, please. I'm finishing, my piece. So for me, the chair is not only creating agendas, they lead the discussions, they ensure fairness without bias as the chair. They're the advocates for the entire community, its volunteers, and for the staff. And the chair needs to do their best to ensure that all of our agreed upon policies are complied with. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, especially in the last few weeks. And I would love, folks, if you interrupt, it's gonna be finished.
Fascism.
Folks, we're gonna try to continue our meeting. Please let us do it. We may not agree on all things, however, as much as there was a discussion of, I know this is a later item, but it relates to this specifically, a discussion of a past board member, all the good that has been done, and wanting to understand what's going on, and it's terrible that someone would be threatened or in any way humiliated or whatever. I have to say, Chris, that's exactly what you did to me in these last few minutes. Folks,
You guys drive around with guns.
sir,
That's very memorable, very memorable.
okay. We're gonna take another 5-minute break. Folks, here's where we are. If we can't get to a point where we can have our meeting, then we're gonna have to clear the room. So we're gonna take 5 minutes, we're gonna try again. board is back in order. Let's try to go through the voting, as was laid out.
Mr. Chair, would we usually have a little discussion first and one member, I did make a point of order and thank you, I would like to comment. Just that, that was my understanding is that we would be voting again after every election. So going into this, so I'm expecting that however, if we're able to find 3 or 4 votes tonight, it'll be a temporary measure. And so I am also okay if we opt as is our discretion to not reorganize tonight and wait for 3 more meetings. I would be okay either way. So that's all I wanted to say.
Any other comments?
Thanks, Mark. We're supposed to reorganize after every local election, not not in May. It's after every local election. And if we want to start delaying things, just remember what happened in 2021, because I don't forget anything in the last 3 years anyway. That I tried to do exactly what you're trying to do right now, and both of you voted against it. I wanted to continue Mark as chair through COVID, extending it until we could all be back in person, and I was voted against it. And here we are tonight, wanting to extend things another 3 months, whatever, who knows? Perhaps no one pulls papers, or nobody runs. What do we do then? Just carry on? Like, we should be able to handle this vote tonight with us. It's that simple. I don't think that we should be delaying things at all. Our policy, which everyone's gonna like to cite, that I seem to be violating all the time, but doesn't take into consideration that Jackie McCarthy was beyond violated on the policy, and someone had to stick up for her, and that was me. And I'll do it for you, and Karen, and Matt, Carlo, anybody else in the same instance. Has nothing to do with politics or whatever. We have to continue and we have to vote tonight. I don't see how we're delaying this. That makes no sense to me. It violates our policy, which, like I mentioned to Ivrea, it's not worth the paper it's printed on at this point. We could have moved forward at the beginning of this meeting, like we said. We could have. And here we are, 8:08, and still not doing anything. So I don't see how we can't vote on this. It doesn't sit well with me at all. And to your prior comments, I didn't nominate myself. I didn't nominate to be part of anything, even though I have the last 2 years. I said Carlo and Karen. That's it. Has nothing to do with you and me, or you, me, and Karen. That's it. It's crystal clear. Carlo had nothing to do with whatever scenario has gone on that you pointed out. Nothing.
Point of order.
Point of order?
I have a question. After the election, doesn't the gavel pass to the town manager by your own select board policy?
No, it does not by policy. It has by tradition typically.
Okay, so if it has by tradition, why is this not happening tonight?
So that's what I outlined at the beginning of the meeting, that if we ended up at a 2-2 vote and we're rudderless, we literally would have no chair. Meaning that the board would have to have 3 people asked to have a meeting. They couldn't talk about what was being discussed, and it's not a structure that works. It's never been done before, and it's not something that would work. It'd be too hard to have meetings. We do have some stuff we need to get done in the next 3 to 4 meetings. And that's the reasoning behind it. So we have 3 things to vote on. Let's do them. So the first one we'll do Carlo chair and Karen vice chair. The second would be Karen chair and Carlo vice chair, and the third would be Chris as chair. Those are the 3. Okay,
Can I make a statement since I'm nominated?
please.
All right. I usually don't write down things for this process. I haven't in the past 4 years, but given what's going on, I felt I wanted to write this down so I don't screw it up, and I might anyway. So I've been a member of the board for 4 years and always did my best to never put my self-interest above the town's. Every vote I take, I ask myself, what is best for the town, not myself? Who will this vote impact and why? Do we have enough money? Are we appointing the right members to boards and committees? Is this the best qualified candidate for chief or for town manager? And too many other decisions to mention. The chair guides the board and tries to move things forward with our town manager and town staff. Water and sewer rates are a hot topic right now because everyone got their bill. And based on his decision on how it will impact our residents overall. I was willing to give tiered rates a try, but not in the way it was currently set up. We set the rates every year, and I always advocated for a minimal impact with the resources we have at the time. I will do my best this year to reach that goal, one that is fair and will not negatively impact any one segment of our town unfairly. I have hired 2 town managers in a short 4 years, and this most recent hire is clouded with the abrupt resignation of Jackie McCarthy and suggestions that something happened behind the scenes. While I don't know exactly what happened, I fully support we look into it as a board. I do not have any hidden agendas and don't want to impose my ideology. I just want to make good decisions with the information in front of me. I want to be a valued board member and see the town grow and prosper for years ahead, not just in my term. As a board and as a town, we make mistakes. It is our duty to make as little as possible. Recently, we overlooked the start of town meeting. The first night of town meeting is the start of Passover. And I hope our town moderator, town clerk, and this board can correct that and start another night. Recently, most have been in office for 3 to 6 years. A lot of good can be accomplished, but also a lot of bad things can happen as well. I hope the board will consider and vote me as chair.
Thank you. Any other statements?
So thank you for the nominations, and thank you for the point of clarification. This is an unusual situation. I have served as chair, I've served as vice chair twice, supporting 2 different chairs of this board since being elected in 2020. I also have served as secretary, so, and I take pride in keeping the board moving forward and being prepared. So I would pledge to do that in either capacity this evening, and I would be happy to serve in either capacity this evening. And I would most definitely be looking to have the board refocus on a code of conduct to each other, to our volunteers, to our staff. We have very important town business in front of us. We do need to support our new town manager, who we've given a very long list of to-dos, challenging to-dos. So I am fully committed to doing that, and I'm sure we will be successful. But in any capacity on my board, that is my chief goal, is to focus on the business of the town and helping our town manager execute on the lengthy list of goals we've given to him. So thank you for the nominations.
Good.
Thanks, Mark. I probably said thanks, Mark, thanks, Karen, thanks, Jackie, more than any single board member. Add them all up, divide by, times by, whatever scenario. Nobody has done it more than me. And I can say that for the last 3 years here, my next 3 years, who knows what happens in the future? Nobody said it more than me. And like I had mentioned, in 2021, I tried extending the vote until we were all back in person. It didn't happen, but it also, during that, I voted 4-1 in the acclamation vote for Karen Herrick as chair. I voted for Karen in the acclamation vote as chair. In 2022, I nominated you, Mark, for chair, and also asked for vice chair so I could show a divided town that the board could work together. In 2023, the same thing again. I voted for Jackie to be chair and also requested to be vice chair, so we could unite the town, etc. You and Mark, you and me, Mark. We walked around the town after that vote where it didn't go successful. And I got the inkling now, which you may or may not deny, but it is what it is, that you think you made the wrong choice back then. That's my opinion, might not be yours, but in not voting for me for vice chair for that. Fast forward to 2024, and here we are today. I have not missed a single select board meeting. I haven't missed a single park meeting. I didn't miss a single ARPA meeting with you, Mark. I haven't missed a single charter committee meeting that I've been on the that I've chaired for the last 6 months or so. We're pretty much all wrapped up with that, the first pass, and just getting other boards' feedbacks. I've ran that meeting where I've received acclamations by people afterwards that I would not have expected to comment on the way that I've been running the meetings. And those kind of comments are the things that really stick and resonate me. It makes the charter thing, even though I'm running it the way that I would run anything else, it reminds me of the historic committee that I mentioned right out of the gate. The first meeting that I went to as a select board member was historic. They thought that I was getting my I was there for the fence getting repainted. They didn't realize who I was because nobody did 3 years ago, and I don't blame them. But the way that they run the meetings over there is the way that all other boards and committees should run the meetings. Not like this. Not like me. I agree. Not like what is transpired. It's not a good look for anybody, and I understand that I contribute to that. But like I mentioned, there's always every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I saw what happened to Jackie McCarthy, and I reacted. I've never reacted like that on other scenarios. There's a reason why I did so. And we'll get to that later on towards the end of the meeting. But I got 3,715 votes this time. The widest gap in the last 4 years since the last primary. That is a significant turnout for the voter base that we would see compared to a normal election. I just would hate to see us go down the path that the Finance Committee has gone down for the last 3 years. They've had the same chair for the last 3 years. And nobody's ever said that, other than me right now. Do I think that's fair? Absolutely not. Would anybody in this room think that's fair? Absolutely not. Yet it happens. Mary Ann Downing was overlooked for chair and vice chair in the Finance Committee. The smartest, most well-respected person in this entire town that I would trade places for in a heartbeat was overlooked. I would hate for people to be overlooked here, where we can control what's going to actually happen. I made the first nomination. I believe that it was fair to have Carlo chair, Karen as vice chair. She's already served as chair. You have as well. And I mean, if I have to come down to it, Mark, you said you're still vice chair. That's why I'm only nominating Carlo did for chair. I mean, it is what it is at this point. We really have to come to a decision. We cannot let things fall back on a loophole that Ivrea provides us 3 pages of reasons for things to happen. Absolutely not. Like, we just can't. I don't see how. And Mark, like I said, don't use what has transpired here to affect all of this. It can't. It just can't. So, thank you, Mark.
Thank you. So, we are a divided board currently. We are a divided community currently. And we have also, I guess, some of the things that may have been bubbling are certainly above the surface right now in a big way. And it makes it very uncomfortable for volunteers in this town. And that's just not okay. And we do need to set the right tone. And we have had, I believe, 5-0 votes, not just the last 3 or 4 years. I think typically that's how it goes. But at the moment, we're not there. And the problem is that it's gonna take some healing before we can get there. And it's gonna take a little bit of time for that to happen. Things are raw. We have another topic that's gonna come up soon that's gonna deal with that also. That's kind of where it is. That's what we have. That's what we get to work with here. We need to figure it out. So we have, and just to clarify, I asked Ivrea for an opinion, what would happen in a 2-2 deadlock? In the scenario of having no one guiding the board, no one calling the meetings, no one seeing what's happening, seems ridiculous. It just seems like it can't work. And I wanted to understand where do we go? Where do we rely on things? I hope you would all agree that that makes no sense at all. We need to have a way to go forward. There are 3 ways that we have on the table, maybe even 4 ways that we have on the table. Let's take votes, let's see where it comes through. I would love to get to a point where we can all agree on who it should be. Maybe we can. but let's see what it is. We're gonna do the best that we can, and then we're gonna move forward. So, we have 3 votes to take on the table. Okay, we'll go through. The first one would be Carlo Chair, Karen Vice Chair. The second would be Karen Chair, Carlo Vice Chair. The third would be Chris as Chair. And just to clarify one issue, once there is a chair, that person unless it's a chair and vice chair that are voted, the chair would determine who would be next. I would not be serving as vice chair at that point at all, just to be clear for everyone. That's not the case. So let's start with the first one. So the first one is Carlo as chair, Karen as vice chair. If you would like to vote for that pairing, please raise your hand. And against?
Folks, let's get through this, please.
The second pairing would be Karen as chair and Carlo as vice chair. If you would like to vote for that, please raise your hand. If you'd like to vote against that, please raise your hand. 2-2. Third scenario, if you'd like to vote for Chris for chair, please raise your hand. If you'd like not to vote for Chris for chair, raise your hand. We are 2-2. We're in deadlock. So here we have some options. We move ahead today is my suggestion because we don't have a clear vote. We can bring this back at any time we want to onto the agenda. My suggestion is we bring it back onto the agenda when we have a 5th member. And it's easier to have a path at that point. That's my suggestion. Carlo.
Thank you. For me, it's the integrity of the town is at stake right now. Right? A lot has happened in a month and a week. A lot. And unfortunately, Jackie hasn't come forward. That would help us a lot if she did. I've spoken to Jackie a few times, and she is not ready, and that's her prerogative. I will never do anything to harm Jackie, but this town needs to move forward. I refuse to move forward in any discussion until we resolve this vote tonight. This is not fair to the town. This is not fair to the 4 of us. It is your last year, and you should not be chair or acting vice chair, however you want to put it. I said what I had to say. We need to vote on this and elect a chair, plain and simple. I don't care if we're here all night.
You can come up with different options. You want to revote the ones we just voted? What's your suggestion?
All I know is that we have to elect a new chair tonight for me to feel comfortable going forward and guiding this town as an elected official. Just like I read in my statement, I could have went a wholly different road, but I chose the high ground and didn't go into the litany things that I have accomplished. I didn't feel I needed to. I'm on my 5th year, okay? It's a running joke in our family that I will never be chair. There's more to things in life than this. I get it, right? But for 6 years, if I serve out my full term for 6 years and I have never been chair, that will just not sit well with me. And we have the opportunity tonight in my 5th year, because I will follow our policy and request not to be nominated for chair in my 6th year. So this is it. Jackie advocated for chair last year in year 2. I wanted to be chair. I acquiesced to Jackie because I kind of felt she wasn't going to run again. That was my gut feeling. And lo and behold, look what happened. So this is it for me. Chris has 3 years. You can't be chair. Karen can be chair. So that's really it. It's me, Karen, or Chris. I will not be satisfied or continue you as the acting vice chair. No way. That's not gonna happen.
You have an option to vote for another pair, another set, but you chose to go one way only.
I like the sequence that we had. If we can't come to agreement, I will not be voting on any matters in this town.
Thank you.
At all.
Thank you.
At all.
Wow, thank you.
Until we resolve it.
the integrity of the board is being challenged in a big way.
It is, it is.
Yes.
You can do the right thing, Mark Doxer. You can do the right thing.
The right thing is to make sure that
Point of
we-
order, sir.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Sir, please.
James Bonzoli, precinct 6.
Can you come up here, Mr. Bonzoli, please?
Mr. Chair, Select Board,
Kinda need
members,
your
sorry.
address. Sorry, we need your address.
100 Grove Street, James Bonzoli, precinct 6 member. Served on the board for 9 years during extremely difficult times that this town had faced. Nothing compared to what you guys have faced. And to have this divide the town is a disgrace. My nomination is that town manager will now run the meetings until this board can come to agreement, period. That is in our policy, it is in our policy, and it is in our town charter. And it's the right thing to do for this town that frankly, if you can't come to agreement, like which was asked, if somebody can't come to the right decision to say, for the best of the town, I'm going to change my vote. If that's not going to happen, then you need to make the decision to allow the town manager from now on to run the meetings and lead the direction of this board. Because frankly, you need some adult supervision, because you're all acting.
Thank you.
This is a disgrace.
It's a disgrace, it is.
Nice job, nice job.
It is.
Great job.
Horrible. Horrible. We deserve better. We deserve better.
Is it a point of order, sir? Yes.
Frank Tuscany, 21 George Street. I want to make a comment that,
Sir, I'm going to stop you there.
what?
We deserve
This is a
better.
point of order. It's not a comment. So if you have something about the process, please feel free to
No,
bring that
all I
up.
wanted to say is, please listen to your wife.
Yeah,
She mentioned that we need to raise the bar in this town,
yeah.
in this community. And I would ask you, please, for the good of yourself, the good of the town, for the good of everybody, vacate that chair.
We deserve better.
Karen, you can do the right thing too.
Ego is a
It's not just on Mark. You can do the right thing.
As can you.
That's what does that mean? What does that mean?
You got a person in front of you, with you being the vice chair, that would be, it could pass with at least 3 votes. You already had 2.
Me as the vice chair. And who was the chair?
Karen. Folks, you need to stop this.
Come on.
We're here, we're trying to have a meeting, we're gonna have the discussion, we're gonna do our best. Please,
It's not good enough. We deserve better. We said that already.
Folks.
We deserve better.
folks,
We deserve better.
if you want to remain in the room, please, stay with us.
Should we try one more pass? Let's try one more pass at the slate we just had.
One more pass at the slate we just had, Chris.
Thank you, Mark. Just real quick, I don't see what 3 meetings is going to do for not having this happen. That magically, all of a sudden, everyone's gonna 5-0 Carlo in 3 meetings from now. That is the definition of playing politics. Because you are waiting to see what happens with the election.
Exactly.
That is a point blank, because we wouldn't be having this discussion if I wasn't here right now. It wouldn't. The fair thing is the annual rotation of the chair. You passed it back and forth between Karen and you this whole time. For the last 4 years. That's not fair at all. It isn't. And I've offered and I voted for all of you. I voted for Karen, I voted for you, and I voted for Jackie. And you won't vote for me. You won't vote for Carlos. Why?
We have the
What has Carlo done to you? What has Carlo done to you in the last 2 meetings that is causing this to actually happen? There's nothing. He hasn't done anything. Nothing. And I'm saving my comments, believe me. If you think that I wanna pull a pin in a hand grenade, I'll start looking over in this direction over here and pull the pin.
Okay,
Gladly, Mark.
now we stop. This is one of the behaviors that is just so.
Yeah, it's all me. It's all me.
It's gaslighting.
So, folks,
Just gaslighting people.
okay, so, sir, I do wanna read you one sentence here, just for a moment.
Pass the torch.
Bring it to the town manager.
Just to be clear, no person shall address a meeting of a public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall at the request of the chair be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of a meeting of a public body. If after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting, and if the person does not withdraw, the chair may authorize a constable or other officer to remove the person from the meeting. We don't wanna go there, there's no need to. But please, if you're not gonna let us have our meeting, that's what we're gonna do. So, I will have happy to have the vote again, Carl.
I'm gonna ask you point blank, and I'm gonna ask Karen point blank. Do you think I'm not qualified to be chair?
I think you could be chair, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think that you're the right candidate at this time in this town.
That's his opinion. Karen, am I not qualified to be chair?
May I speak frankly?
Sure.
I have concerns, based on feedback I've heard from members of,
Folks,
based on members of the SWEC committee who were concerned about open meeting law violations that were made on the SWEC committee. You most recently were involved in open meeting law violation that impacted this board. I would support you for vice chair, I did vote for you and that is a good step up. That's a great way to start the process.
Thank you. Right, let's revote. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. To address Karen's open meeting law concerns, there was a dozen open meeting law complaints filed against this board while you were chair. A dozen. Did you forget about it? Because it impacted my family. All of them, all 12 of them. And lastly, what I will also say about the open meeting law, because I said I was never going to speak on anything else again, but I will just reiterate what I said at one of the prior meetings. Jackie McCarthy said I was the only one not implicated in the open meeting law complaint. I was, I believe, very clear last time I said it, but I am just reiterating it now. That she said I was the only one not implicated in the open meeting law complaint. So if we want to bring up open meeting law, there's your complaint.
let's come back around to the votes, folks. Okay, do we wanna keep them in the same order? You wanna change the order?
The same order's fine.
Okay. Slate number 1 is Carlo as chair, Karen as vice chair. All those in favor? All those opposed? Slate number 2 is Karen as chair and Carlo as vice chair. All those in favor?
Yeah, great.
All those opposed?
I don't, were you,
Sorry, I wasn't
did
paying
you want to,
attention. I
you
wasn't
want a
paying-
do-over? I
Yeah, I
think
want a
you have the
do-over,
proper
sorry.
procedure is.
Very, okay.
My
Slate
daughter's
number-
in the back, I was looking at my daughter, sorry.
Slate number 2, Karen as chair, Carlo as vice chair. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All those abstaining?
Are you not paying attention?
Oh, I vote no, sorry. My mind is very scrambled right now, sorry. I vote no.
The third slate is for Chris as chair. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Wrap it up.
Come on.
Wrap it up.
So I'm gonna make a suggestion, folks, and
Wrap it up.
to figure out how we carry forward. We have a gentleman who has a license application in place as an agenda item. I would suggest that we somehow get to that tonight, and we have 2 executive sessions. I suggest we get to those tonight. You had suggested perhaps that you were uncomfortable with some other things.
Can I say something? I would like to consider what Mr. Bonazzoli stated As a 9-year serving board member, he's earned the respect, and I think, while I don't love the idea, I would be okay with Matt running the meetings.
Thank you. So can we get an opinion from town council to see if that in fact is possible? Speaking of which, town council's here.
Right.
Hi, Abria. I don't know, have you been listening in?
Yeah, so I joined maybe about 10 minutes ago, when Matt texted me, so I got most of it. So Matt cannot serve as chair, he's not a member of this board, but I do think it's feasible for this board to vote to delegate agenda creation and meeting operation to Matt. That seems like legally permissible action that this board could take. It would take a vote of this body.
And could you explain what that would mean? So would that be that board members would send agenda items to Matt? He would be responsible for posting them? How about operations of the meetings?
So this is really a policy decision for this board, so you should discuss exactly what you mean by delegating this authority to Matt. It could mean that every item is added to the agenda at the request of a board member, or it could mean that Matt has the authority and his discretion to determine which items should go on the agenda based on time or significance, whatever the board desires in that moment. In terms of operations of the board, again, it's up to this body to make that decision. You know, Matt can decide who to call on, how long people get to speak, if that's what you want to do. I would just make sure it's very clear that everyone understands what is happening and that that's part of the vote that you take.
What are your thoughts, board members? Chris?
Thanks, Mark. I think that we have a policy in place where 2 board members can request to put something on the agenda, even though it might sit there in perpetuity. So I'm fine if 2 of us want to put something on the agenda for Matt, then he puts it on the agenda. The normal everyday kind of stuff, liquor licenses, this, that, the other thing, absolutely, Matt, go right ahead, just run it however you think that it should be ran. But I don't have a problem with Matt running the meetings for the next 3 meetings. I think it is a bad look. I think it is a unfortunate compromise, short of drawing names out of a hat at this point. But I am very saddened that we couldn't get a 4-0 for a pair. It's very unfortunate. And, you know, it's good to have Matt here, and I'm fine with having him run the meetings exactly how they've been ran for the last, 60 years, whatever here. Just call on people, raise their hands, etc. Thank you, Matt, repeatedly. It is what it is. I see no issue with that. But we cannot monopolize whatever, like I said, 2 board members, it's on. Not single people doing whatever they feel like. It is what it is for 3 meetings.
I think that's completely unnecessary. I thought I was in a room with 4 adults. And to Mark's point, we have a lot of 4-0 votes. I understand this one's a real tough one for us, and I understand we have another difficult one later tonight. Are we gonna sit here and tell the residents that we can't get the business that's before us done tonight? And that we need to delegate?
That's what we're doing.
So now you're interrupting me, which again, inappropriate protocol. Okay, so I have the floor for at least another minute, because that's also in our policies that we should stay on topic and not monopolize the meeting time. So I would urge you to reconsider if you're considering abdicating the select board for a town manager, because this acting chair put items on the agenda tonight, presumably at the request of other folks. And having served with him for 2 other times, I think he can be reasonably trusted to act with fairness for 3 more meetings if we can't come to a resolution. And I would prefer that we honor the promise we made to all of the residents that we would focus on the business of the town. I guess that's it. Thank you.
I think that was well said, and I'll state it again. I am not gonna vote on any of the town business until we elect the chair. We can discuss ad nauseum, but I am not gonna vote. It's just not right. It's just not right.
So you're saying that the suggestion of having Matt stand in?
No,
you're
I'm saying, no, I'm sorry, I got off topic. I'm the one who brought it up. It sounds like Karen is not okay with Matt being, let's call it acting chair. I'm advocating that as much as I agree with Chris, I don't like it. But I really wanna move forward and I don't wanna hold the town hostage, okay, on items that we need to get done in a timely fashion. So if we can't agree, the four of us, or I guess three of us, that Matt should run the meetings for 3 meetings, as much as I don't like it, that will satisfy me having you not as acting chair.
I hope you didn't mean it exactly that way.
No, procedurally, this is not right, what we're doing. Procedurally, it's not right. I am owed nothing. But, given what's happened most recently and in the past 4 years of me being on the board, we have been very dysfunctional. Okay? And we have an opportunity here right now to rectify that. I'm not saying I'm gonna be perfect. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna make mistakes. But I think it would do a lot of good if I was chair for a year, not for 2 months, for a full year, as I should be in my 5th year. So if we don't want to appoint Matt to run the meetings, then I will either sit in this chair and do nothing, or I will leave the room.
So just to clarify a couple of things, this dysfunctional statement. This board worked very, very effectively through COVID and through a bunch of other things. Folks, if you can't be quiet for the meeting, I will ask you to leave.
Mark, I'll rephrase that. At times, I'll rephrase that. At times, we've been dysfunctional.
We are, and we need to get better.
Correct.
And we're all, I think, in agreement. We're just not, in a sense, quite ready to get it done, is what it feels like to me too. So, I am actually okay with having Matt stand in for the 3 meetings. And so that we can move ahead. Maybe we can work some things out in the meantime. We'll see. In fact, this item could conceivably come back up at any meeting. That's our prerogative, actually at any point in time. It's not just required at elections. I think that may be a reasonable way to move ahead. I am willing to support that. So I think the only thing left is just to make sure we're clear. So to Chris's point, 2 members can bring forward an agenda item. That's how it gets brought forward. Right? We would ask you, Matt, you're already doing the agendas already.
Right, yeah.
So I don't think that's a huge extra burden if all goes well.
No problem. We can continue to do that.
You'll just have a gavel to work with for a bit.
Yep. So I think you just need to vote to do that.
Can that work for you as a compromise for the 3 meetings?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, and I don't like it. I'm willing to go along with it if that is the only path forward for you all.
I don't like it either, but like I said, I don't
Then
wanna
why are
hold.
you doing it?
Because I don't wanna hold town business that we have in front of us tonight and going forward. After every election, I have voted for a chair and a vice chair. And we are not doing it. So I'm willing to compromise, which I don't wanna do, but we need to move forward.
So I'm gonna ask one thing, however, that's really important, I think, to all of us, and that is we find a way to work inside our policies and protocols, particularly when we have Matt in the hot seat to assure that it's gonna happen. It's on us to make sure that we're able to do that. And I ask that we all kind of commit that we'll do that, so that we don't make it a crazy burden on him. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Thanks, Mark. If I could, I'm really uncomfortable with the insinuation that all of a sudden I am the problem, that I am violating policies, that I'm sitting here texting on my phone throughout this entire meeting right now, it's not okay.
So, just to be very, very, very specific. Personal attacks, personal allegations, insinuations, things like that is exactly what the second policy says we won't do. It's been a horror show trying to work through that, just being honest. It's not okay to put that onto Matt's shoulders. We need to, as four adults here, we need to say, okay, we're gonna make that work. Are we gonna be 100% perfect? I'm sure not. Are we gonna be really close? If we commit to it, yes, we are. And that's what I'm asking for. One of my biggest concerns in figuring out who the chair could or couldn't be is insistence that we're able to do that and act civilly with one another. I want to make sure we can do that. And folks, the bonds are torn at the moment. They are. Can they get back together? We four have the power to do it. We can do it. It isn't going to be just kumbaya, but it needs to be us working together. If this is a way that's going to help us do it, then let's do it. But not make Matt be a police officer in this. That's not okay. It's not fair.
Thanks, Mark. No, I agree, and believe me, if, like, I honestly, I cannot just sit up here and listen to this and respect the policy that we have, because it's very simple. If I was threatened, as Jackie McCarthy was threatened, I would act the identical way that I acted last time. That will never change, one iota. So if somebody decides to threaten somebody else in this scenario, absolutely. You can have whatever policy that you like in here, because it's violating 1.1 annual reorganization right now. Annual rotation of chair, not having a select board member as chair in your final year of that term. It's just being violated. But that's okay to violate that. But when I stick up for somebody that I campaigned against, that's an issue.
Chris, when you make allegations that are completely unfounded against a person instead of a situation, that's the problem.
We don't know
No,
that.
we don't know. Just prove it.
Prove it during investigation.
We don't know that.
Vote for investigation.
Karen's been texting this whole meeting. Who's she
Folks,
texting to?
please. Right, we're making progress as a group and you're bringing it back like that.
She's being texted to and told what to say. The whole meeting.
Take your phone, go home.
Jesus.
To that, Mark, I would just say simply, Jackie didn't wake up and burn her toast that morning and resign from the select board. Something happened. And if you think I was gonna risk my election, my livelihood, my entire career in residence here in Reading, Massachusetts, off a whim, you are horribly mistaken. Just as I've observed Karen texting this entire time and paying attention. Who has she been texting with the entire
We
time,
already
Mark?
know we can see it back here.
Who has she been texting with the entire time? She's standing right there. I've been watching her the whole time while paying attention to this whole
And
meeting.
here it goes
Right
again.
there.
So I am
We have it on
not,
video.
folks,
Well, apparently that's not good enough either. I just can't.
this is the behavior that's unacceptable.
Yes, it's
I'm
me.
calling-
It's only me.
At the moment, it's only you.
It is. You're out of order by not annually rotating the chair, but that's okay
Chris,
though.
Chris,
Time to walk out, boys.
Shut it down.
Mark, do the right thing.
Go.
Call it a day.
Stop looking at him like he's your son.
I don't know what you want me to say, Mark.
I
I've
asked if
managed-
we could all make that
I've
commitment.
managed to be respectful and courteous for the last 3 years here. And did you just laugh, Karen?
I did.
You
Point
did.
of order.
Okay, that's okay though. That's okay, Karen. It is.
Point of order, I just think we might wanna take up one agenda item at a time. We could propose to lay this agenda item aside and move on to the other difficult agenda item because it seems like we're straying there on a regular basis.
Review board members. I thought we were almost there, but I think we just pulled back. What do we want to do next?
I think you're running the risk, Mark, of us walking out and nothing getting done until May. That is the absolute wrong thing to do, and it is the only way to get through to you and through to anybody else to see what's transpiring here. It's just wrong. Like, I cannot sit up here and be the martyr for exactly what happened. No maniac would do what I did. Nobody would do it. Do you want to?
I want to stay on this topic. I want to
I
stay
will-
on the agenda item and see if we can progress.
deserve to know what
If you can do that, please. If not, let's move on.
I will just finish with the words that you used multiple times and in the newspaper, which never gave me a chance to rebut, by the way, but we'll get to that later. You used the word inaccurate. That is the term that you used, is inaccurate. So if I said I spent $10 for lunch today, when I really spent $9.89, that is inaccurate. But Mark, I still got lunch. Okay? So, do I think that your term inaccurate is correct? Yes, because I'm aware of the other accurate part. Okay? Because a lot of people
This is
perhaps thought that I wasn't.
This is the same thing again. This is,
Yeah.
so this is where.
That's gaslighting 101 right there.
Carla, do you have a comment?
Well, it's not on topic, but I'd like to say it. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing,
Is it gonna help us move forward in some
well,
way, do you think?
in a way, but maybe not. It's just something that I spoke to Ivry about our options as a board. And she cited 3. 1, call the police. Okay, I said that was ridiculous, in my opinion. 2, contact state ethics, which is a great option. And 3, hire an outside attorney because IRIA can't investigate ourselves.
So I think you're moving on to the, a later.
Right, I just
agenda
wanted to
item.
throw that out there because I'm on the verge of walking out because we've totally gone backwards again. And I really implore the board to vote a chair. I've done it more than once. This is very embarrassing for all of us. I have my daughter in the back, I have my sister here, I have my in-laws here. This is very embarrassing. Okay, very embarrassing for all of us. And
No.
I am not asking for anything crazy, right? But we're at 2-2, and that's your right, and that's our right, and that is fine. But I just don't know where to go from here. I really, it seems like we're just gonna keep spinning on circles. We'll be here till 11 o'clock at night. I know these fine folks don't wanna stay here that late. It's not town meeting. So if we can't vote on chair and vice chair, I'm gonna take back what I said about letting Matt take over the meetings. I wanna vote on chair. If we're not gonna vote on chair, I'm leaving. So if we're not gonna vote a duly elected chair tonight, the 4 of us, I'm walking out the door. And I'm pretty sure Chris is gonna be behind me.
Mr. Chair. So we don't have to keep voting, we could take the pulse of the board. You know, are you ready to change anything about your prior votes? Are you?
Me, no, thank you, no.
Is
Chris?
anybody else?
I think I've been crystal clear. I've given my entire life to this town for the last 3 years. Nobody has done more than me. And nobody other than me should actually see it. It's ridiculous that I can sit here and save the town $40,000 on a Killam School website and then get threatened with going to the Attorney General for doing that website, which is an email for somebody to public record request.
Folks, come on.
It's just ridiculous.
I'm gonna make a suggestion. We have a gentleman who would like to move ahead with a business license in town.
No.
Sorry.
We're still on the agenda of reorganizing.
Point of order.
Point of order, please.
74 Havel Street.
I'm sorry, your name?
Vanessa Curry,
Vanessa.
74 Havel Street. Just to clarify, the role of the chair, as you spoke to earlier, was to listen to the voice of the community. I think people are making things pretty clear here tonight.
Thank you.
Well, we we have two options. We can either adjourn.
We're taking the pulse of the board right now.
Oh, sorry, the
Me and
pulse of the
Chris
board.
already went.
I am not changing my vote.
Okay.
Come on, Karen, do the right thing.
Folks,
I'm willing to consider, and I think I made very clear that I will call for a reorganization after this next election. And that is in our policies. Can I have that go?
yeah, so,
Our policies are a little conflicting. It does say we shall reorganize after an election. It says we shall rotate the chair, which we have been doing, perhaps not to everyone's satisfaction, but we have been doing it. It would be really great if I could hear myself. But it also says that our prerogative, we can reorganize at any time. So Chris, one of the first acts you did after getting elected, as you previously mentioned, and I remember well, was making a motion that the board not reorganize till COVID was over. So that vote was not a majority in support of it. It doesn't matter. You're within your rights to do it. So tonight, we are also within our rights to decide to
need a majority.
decide to not have a new chair in place. But if I was in a position to switch my vote to let Carlo be chair and I be vice chair, I just want to be very clear that after the next election on May 14th, I will be calling for a reorganization because that is in our policy and that would be a better representation of the will of the voters with 5 people sitting here.
so just to take that forward, if the motion included election for a period of time until the next election, would that satisfy that need? Really no. In other words, to say to that pair until the next election.
Well, that's a great suggestion. I think that would make clear to all of us and maybe save us some wondering what we agreed to in the future if we took that approach. So I'd be open to that.
It makes clear that this is political. That's what it makes clear. We should elect the chair for a year, not play politics. All right, we've been playing politics too long, okay? And I sat here and did my job through and through. During a recall, during COVID, 2 town manager searches, and the list goes on and on. All right? Yes, the board can do whatever it wants, so it doesn't matter what we say tonight, right? It really doesn't. We as a board of 5 in the future can do whatever we want. Of course we can. We all know that, okay? But we keep on making it political, okay? So I appreciate the gesture from Karen, but if I am voted chair, it's for a full year, as I'm duly deserved if I am voted as chair.
Yes. The only thing that makes sense.
And so, I'll ask Chris the same question.
No, I mean, it's, listen, I think if Karen had just voted and went to the election and then reorganized after the fact, it would have been fine. But pointing it out is not a good look, because we all know that we could do it. It's that simple. We could, any 3 members can hold a meeting, which is crystal clear in Ivrea's 3-page thing that the town paid for, that any 3 members can go ahead and reorganize, call a meeting, and we can reorganize at any time. So all it takes is 3 people. So Karen putting the guardrails on this actually holds no water. You could just do it regardless. So it should have been, Carlo, go ahead, be chair. And then, 3 months from now, we're taking it back from you. That's how it should have happened, but it didn't, because it's playing politics, which is it's unbelievable.
Folks, if we are 2-2, that means that there are 2 sides. So if it is political, in fact, that means that both sides are playing that game per. Folks, come on.
Except last year, I 5-0 voted Jackie, and the prior year, I 5-0 voted you, Mark. You have never voted for me. Never. That is playing politics. You've never voted for me. Ever.
It's
You
not
have no.
politics at all.
I voted for you, Mark. You've never voted for me. I can say that tonight. I voted for Karen too. and nobody voted for me. It is what it is.
We're not making any progress here.
No.
So,
Thank you for holding the town hostage. Thank you very much.
Would you like to
Here's your
adjourn?
headline, Bob.
motion
Thank
to
you for holding the
adjourn.
town hostage.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Second. All those in favor of adjournment?
In favor of adjourning?